Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions live on Facebook. Sorry, we're a little bit delayed because of some technicalities. All my fault, of course. I'd like to welcome all of my guests. At the moment, we've brought in Dr. Yev from Zontracker. We have Paul Harvey as well from SellerChat Bots. We had the First Lady, Michelle Barnum-Smith. We have Brandon Young, and we have the infamous Steve Black. How are we doing, guys?
Yeah, good.
Wow.
Great. Thanks for having us.
Excellent. So can we just quickly go around the room, start with Yev, a little bit of background, and then we'll move into questioning.
Yeah, of course. Yev here with Zontracker, and I'm trying to take a very analytical approach. So you see, whatever I'm going to say is going to be very experimental and overseeing a lot of data across a lot of accounts. So I'm going to try to be very diversified in what I see rather than like, here's exactly one thing that's very systematic and working, but here's a diversity of things that are working across accounts.
Sounds good. Up next, Paul Harvey.
Yeah, pretty much long-time Amazon seller and had my own bot agency, and then we created our own chatbot platform, SellerChat Bot. Yeah.
Sounds good. Michelle.
Yeah, I'm a longtime marketing professional and have been working with Amazon sellers since 2017 and helping you guys rank and review products. And I have my own course, Amazon Messenger Bot Club, and teach people how to use ManyChat to rank and review your listings.
Sounds good. And Brandon?
Yeah, so private label seller, also coach, just always looking to help other sellers with private label and ranking products.
Sounds good. Don't sound too excited though, Brandon. Is it early there for you? You've been on with China, haven't you? Just warn you out.
I was up till about 6.
Cool. Stephen.
Hey everybody, I'm Stephen Black. Stephen Black with Unstoppable FBA. That's usually where everybody knows me from. I've been a marketer for over 12 years, on and off of Amazon. I've done everything from local brick and mortar stuff to helping, 7- and 8-figure companies and even a few politicians with marketing stuff. Been in the Amazon space for a couple of years and do everything I can to help everybody with their marketing efforts.
Sounds good. Cool. So let's get into the question. With me, I'd like to ease our way in slowly. So starting with Paul, what's the ultimate flow?
The ultimate flow, I would honestly say, would be an evergreen flow that you can just run all the time to capture reviews, increase your subscriber list that bypasses that 24+1 rule. Essentially, that's what we all want, an evergreen flow we just turn on. Essentially, Facebook ads, but like PPC, but pretty much running through those ads and running through a flow that pretty much completes and does all the stuff for you. Cool.
Michelle, what's your take?
I think it changes on a regular basis because Amazon changes on a regular basis.
Yeah.
The kind of flow that I'm in love with lately is I love a giveaway contest to attract subscribers for cheap and cheap and quickly, and then convert them on the back end to either a product tester offer for like a review campaign or a rebate offer for like a ranking campaign.
Sounds good. Brandon?
Yeah, I think as Michelle said, things are constantly changing at Amazon. We've been using quite a few flows to rank. I mean, it really depends if you're looking for reviews, if you're looking to give away products, to acquire new potential customers, build your list. There's the capabilities of chatbots are so great and wide, and everyone's got their own approach. I think that's why this panel is going to be really great.
Cool. Sounds good. And Stephen?
Yeah. My favorite chatbot sequence is actually to bring them into a Facebook group that is around my niche, where I can talk to them, and I kind of use the Facebook group kind of as a focus group where I can figure out what they want. I can adjust my product and my offering around what they're telling me they want to buy, and then make an offer to the group, because that allows me to keep talking to them and then push repeat business with future products and offerings.
Yeah, cool. Excellent. So there's a few things I want to kind of cover today. I want to talk about ranking, search and buy, super URLs, gamifications, TOS compliancy, etc. So I just want to kind of break these out into like subsections. I'll declare here, I'm not a massive user or expert on chatbots, so you have to bear with me in terms of the questioning. So I'm hoping that you can help me along. I do some of it, but not to the level of you guys. So can we start? Who wants to take the lead on talking about at the moment in terms of, Michelle maybe here, is utilizing the chatbots specifically for ranking products?
You want me to take that one first?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so the things that we're seeing lately, I actually have kind of like 4 different strategies based on like where you're at with your business and where your product, your listed product actually is. But let's say you're launching a new product. I would start with like a keyword URL to get you ranked, and then use probably like a search, find, buy campaign to then kind of lock in that ranking. And depending on if you're using cold traffic, you can, obviously use coupon offers. But if you have like a hot list or warm list that you've really nurtured and developed a relationship with, then you can offer a rebate for like a full price offer and get those reviews as well. But the rebate, the rebate scenario, I wouldn't run that with cold traffic if you're wanting to rank, just because people are super skeptical. You see a lot of kind of like breakdown in velocity, and you really want to kind of like lock that in. So use coupons if you're using a cold traffic source. And then if you have a hot relationship or a warm relationship with your list, whether that's in group form or in ManyChat or whatever platform you're using, then you can use the rebate offer there.
Sounds good. Paul Harvey.
So pretty much in terms of ranking, when I think ranking on chatbots, the only thing I think of pretty much is search, find, buy. In absolutely all of my flows, I don't use super URLs, and yeah, I've got to talk to you because you're probably going to tell me off soon. But I don't use any super URLs or anything like that. I just go for purely just search, find, buy.
Yeah.
In my results, it works incredibly well. The only thing I do in terms of super URL is simply add a pixel file me links I can add for retargeting and so on and so forth, which is why I need to talk to you about that, because there's a whole bunch of things which I'm not doing. But based above that, just search, find, buy purely on everything. Even reviews, I tell them, go through your reviews, find our product in your order and do a review.
Yeah.
I don't give them any links or anything because customers don't have links. They don't have any of these super URL links. They don't have any links in their hand. So and then you kind of drop off the authenticity, the organic aspect of those search, find, buy. So for me, I purely just specialize in doing search, find, buy. Yeah.
Sounds good. What's your take on this, Yev?
So one of the things, so Michelle and Paul, they covered a majority of the strategies that I'm seeing that are effective. One thing is that one addition to the strategies, that's a commonality, is adding testing within each of the steps, meaning that, so let's say you do search, find, buy, and there's actually many ways of doing that, right? You could have a very systematic approach here. So you do the search, find, buy, here's the exact steps. But within each one of those, whether it's at the beginning saying what the offer is, or at the end, the conversation you're having of how to, do the exchange, whether it's a rebate form or if there's like no actual discount, that actual statement or that part of the sequence is what I see a lot of testing. So some of the brands that I'm seeing just profitable ads directly from the ads is where you can get very experimental. This is the advantage. If you have a smaller sample size, meaning like this isn't to cold traffic where you're trying to reach millions of people, where just like one review will help or 10 reviews. So you want to add those little tests, and it could be something like just get creative where like you can even ask how much would you pay for the product and just see what the response is, and you can try to automate it in different ways. So you were gonna give someone back a full refund, but maybe they'll be happy with not even the full refund. So ask for you can ask a question there, or even things like go back to the ad. Let's say you have a pet product and tell a dog joke. Whoever gets the most likes on the joke is gonna get 10% off for every 3 likes or something like that. So you can get creative. So what I see is that a lot of brands at each step are testing just to get higher conversion to the next step, because there could be, usually 3 steps is very common in the sequence, but you can get very creative, 5, 10, 20 steps. And each one is something that's testable. So that's what I see, that the top brands, you look at their funnels and there's like 20 tests within one step, and then they narrow it down and then it becomes one sequence. So a lot of testing within each step.
Sounds good. And Stephen.
Okay. Do you want me to talk about ranking or reviews? Which one?
We'll park reviews for a bit later because I've got some specifics around that. Let's focus on the ranking side at the moment.
Okay. So on the ranking side at the moment, I do test search, find, buy, as well as using a 2-step add to cart URL, but I don't give discounts and I don't do rebates, not one bit. Because value has nothing to do with price. Value is how much somebody wants to become whatever they're trying to become or make their life better in the niche that you're doing, and we value things completely irrationally. Why will somebody buy a $200,000 Ferrari when a $20,000 Toyota will get into the same place? If you think about that, whether you're selling baby products or travel products or whatever, okay, cool. How much can I put that picture in your mind on a blog, on a store, within the ManyChat flow itself, on an ad, a piece of content? Because I like to warm people up before I make an offer to them. Then when I hit them with the offer in the messenger bot flow, it's just like that. It's no big deal. The other thing in messenger bot flows is if you keep it conversational, like people are having a real conversation with you versus trying to sound too salesy, your conversions are going to go much higher, because it's not in normal people's human nature to say no to someone that's being nice to them while they're talking to them.
Yeah. Are we saying this because you get marketers that are crossed over from email, for instance, are using the same principles of persuasion, and the personability of it isn't the same as when you're working within a flow?
Absolutely. I'd absolutely agree. Messenger bots are conversational commerce. So you make it like you're having a real talk with somebody, because that means they're more friendly with you, they're more likely to trust you, they're more likely to buy from you. Your conversions are going to go up. As far as testing search, find, buy versus a simple like two-step URL like that, I've found half a dozen one way or the other. It's 6 of one, half a dozen the other. They both work well for me in terms of ranking. And it's all user experience. How are you going to make it easier for them to give you their money?
Yeah, makes sense. Brandon, what's your take, mate?
Yeah, I mean, the majority of what we're using chatbots for is ranking products. I mean, that's the entire purpose, is to cultivate a list that you can call back on, that's reliable, that you're going to convert well on, and it's predictable. I think, you know, I really think that what Steven is saying, where he doesn't discount, I'd like to see the results on that, because that's something that I think would have trouble scaling to the point where it'd be difficult to rank very competitive products or be consistent with the ranking, because ranking is all about consistency. You have to know which keywords you're going to go after. You have to know exactly how many you're going to, you know, how many add to carts you're going to get versus sales, conversions. And then you have to do that consistently for a period of time in order to get the rank. And I think if you're not discounting, you might run into some issues with consistency unless you build up a very large list. The other thing is like URLs versus not. Search, find, buy is obviously the best way to rank. It's organic. It's not traceable by Amazon, TOS compliant, compliant issues with regards to rank manipulation and things like that. And I hear Michelle talk about that on a regular basis and staying within TOS. And I'm happy we're going to maybe get into that a little bit later. But for the most part, I think what you need to be thinking about in terms of ranking is understanding the keywords first, understanding what keywords you're ranking for, and then create your funnel from there. Keep it simple. I know that Yev was talking about test. That's very, very important. You know, you've got to stay, the simpler, the better, the less steps. I don't like the 10, 20 steps, because I think you lose a percentage every step you ask them to do.
It's like when you add fields onto a form in terms of conversion optimization, generally you get a drop off for every field that you add. Yeah,
every single field, every single step you're losing. So we try to keep messages to 2 or 3 messages max in between asking them to do something, and we keep it as simple as possible. Really, we're just trying to drive them to do exactly what we want them to do. And so what I would say is just keep optimizing your flow, shorten it. Don't try to be too conversational or salesy. People have already entered your flow from a top of funnel. They know what they're going to get or not. We'll talk about certain other types of flows later, I'm sure, but just make it simple and fast, and let them get what they want to get and get out, so that you can get what you want, which is they ultimately either give them the product, get for the rebate, or for the ranking.
Cool. So let's carry on this subject here in terms of copywriting and the urgency of the flow and the simplicity. I'll throw this one back to Michelle. What's your take in terms of what we've been discussing here in terms of copywriting?
Yeah, I completely agree with Brandon there. And you want to get them in and get them out on their way, right? And you don't want, as marketing professional, and I've been doing marketing for almost 20 years, that like the number one thing that marketing professionals hate is friction. We don't want anything to slow down the sales process. And especially with velocity campaigns and ranking campaigns, you want somebody to get what they're there for, whether it's coupon code or you know, refund for rebate or whatever it is. You don't want to interrupt the sales process. And I've seen, you know, a few bots that kind of like gamify the ranking and have people jump through all these hoops. And I'm like, don't slow them down. Just give them what they came for. So my ranking bots are relatively simple because it's like, you know, let's get them that ad. And because I still think that as consumers, you see that skepticism of people, you know, especially if you're offering maybe like a deep discount or like a rebate that's really good. There's that skepticism that you have to overcome with people who are not sure about the offer. Maybe it's cold traffic, they're not sure about the brand, and Messenger, where they're like, what is this? This is new experience. So you have all of these kind of like external hurdles that you have to overcome. And so if you can quickly give them their, you know, like coupon code or whatever it is they came for, and give them that sales link to go, or the instructions for search, find, buy, make it really simple, then you're going to see that drastically affect your conversion rates.
Makes sense. Paul, throwing it over to you.
Yeah, so pretty much my copyright, the copyright I use in my flows, I've actually tested this because I'm a former maths teacher, so English is really not my thing. I suck in English, I really do. But one thing I do, I spend about a good few hours in every flow just researching GIFs that I use in my flow. Literally after every time someone presses a button, it has this nice little GIF. Like for example, in one of my flows, it says like, what's the catch? They click the button, what's the catch? And there's a kid completely missing the catch and it says no catch at all. Like things like that. People love a good GIF. And I spend a lot of time just researching GIFs I can use. Now I find the conversation rates go through the roof. I can make the customer jump through a whole bunch of loops. And then with search, find, buy, that itself is another GIF. Yeah. So people actually, I find, respond really well with that. And yeah, that's not one tip for everyone. If you're using copyright, copyright in your flows, just use loads of GIFs and customers just love it. And they stay engaged the whole way through.
Sounds good. Yeah, for sure, take.
Really interesting point Brandon brought up about the method Stephen is using, and also Michelle said to simplify. So one of the things that as a seller advertiser, you have to know exactly what your goal is, because the method where you extend the journey, you make it longer and you have more content, more branding, where that definitely works. There's so much proof of that, but it's completely different strategy. So kind of going into like the very simple one, get people in and out. This is where the simplicity works, but this is where even like changing one word makes a difference, because one of the hesitations in the rebate, like, is this a scam? Is this real or not? But just one different word is going to change something psychologically on the person reading it, was going to make that difference. So if you keep it really simple, just like one word, even in the call to action of what you're changing, is make a difference. I think maybe later we'll talk about the longer approach and why actually having more steps could be a good thing.
What's the one word, Yev? Like, that's a lot of pressure to put on people. Like, make sure you get that one word right.
If there is a pattern, it's curiosity. It's where you switch in a way where people get something where they know they want something, but they don't know exactly what it is. So that's one approach where they have to click it and then they're on to the next step. So over time, this gets better with longer steps because you're adding that curiosity and you're making a micro commitment. So psychologically, it makes a lot of sense. But in terms of the ranking, then it's just more of in the call to action. If you're using words like trust, or let's say you're talking about influencers, some people might not like that. So as soon as you say that, just because you're using that as social proof in your very simple flow, we're like, oh, we're influencers are talking about it. People are like, oh, influencer, and they turn off right away. So it's just testing one word at a time. Exactly, like I love the GIF example from Paul, but doing that with the words too.
And actually, Yev, about your comment there about the testing, in my flows, one thing I always do is I see how many people start the flow, how many get to point B or end points, and to work out probability. And normally in a long flow with lots of GIFs and that's engaging, I can normally get about 70% of people to reach the end. And from what I can see, it's a good stat because there are a whole bunch of Facebook limitations, and because Messenger is clunky and buggy as hell. And a lot of the times the users can't actually reach there because their phone packs up or Messenger packs up, whichever. So again, that's a whole bunch of testing. Like you're spot on there. We have to test actually the language we use in the flows. The language I use to market a baby product, completely different from a cream or whatever. So yeah, spot on.
Stephen, you look like you're ready to offer something there.
Right. Well, I would agree with actually a bits of what everyone has said. To clarify a little bit earlier and answer Brandon's question, my process is very, very different. It's not all cold traffic that I throw into my messenger bots. But when I say I don't discount, I don't really do anything above like a 10 or 15%. I don't really consider that anything more That's not a huge discount to me. But anyway, to add to the copywriting side of it, what Paul said about gifts, those are fantastic, because you have to realize when people are reading anything online, on their phone, on Messenger bot, and email, they want to be entertained more than they want to be educated. All right. So by adding those gifts, it's a great part of it. With Messenger bots, I agree with Michelle. I agree with Brandon, where once you get them in, you want to get them out. What I have a rule about is never, ever ask people what you want them to do. Don't give them like 4 or 5 links. Say, this is what you do next. This is what you do next. Keep it simple, 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 like a single button. Give them, say, okay, you want this? Here's where you go. That way they don't have to think, because if you're asking them to respond, you're not asking them to think. You're saying, okay, do this, do this, do this. So direct them with simplicity inside the flows while you entertain them, like Paul said, and you're going to have much better conversion rates.
Yeah, so you're not just optimizing the length of the flow and the actions. You're actually, the verbiage is being short. If you can use a symbol rather than words for it, that you're better off to get the complete step that way. Yeah. Absolutely, 100%. Sounds good. So, can we talk a little bit about gamification? I know Paul likes to play this route. You've got to look at, there's trust here. Is it fun? And there's also the part about shopping cart abandonment, where you can use this to your advantage. Now, I know that Paul does this, and I'd like to get different opinions on this as well, because you have to look at the trust thing, and then you've got to look at TOS and stuff. Paul, so you can defend yourself first in a nice way, of course. Walk us through that whole gamification process that you do, and then the other guys can start to unpack some of it.
Yeah, so pretty much the way I like doing things is sometimes it depends what kind of mood I'm in, and when I run my broadcast or whichever my messages, everything I send everyone, I send them a coupon code. And what I could do is that this coupon code, the coupons go one by one, sends a customer, and 60% of those coupons will be wrong coupons. They will be purposely, because the customer will then go add to cart. Or do search, find the product, add to cart, it fails. So I'm sorry, man, it fails. Now, what happens is 2 things. First of all, you do get ranking points because you got to search, find, buy, and add to cart, and even more if they clicked on your Amazon ad. Then, secondly, above that is if the customer really, really wants your product, what are they going to do? Message a chatbot saying, "Listen, it didn't work," and I reply, "Oh, sorry, man. I had this glitch in the system. Here's the code." So now what Amazon sees a customer doing shopping cart abandonment and then coming back at a later stage to actually purchase. So Amazon can see people would love my product and come back to it.
Yeah.
And again, I found the strategy just work incredibly well. Again, TOS friendly. It's you do it your way. But also bear in mind, the strategy can be used to kill your competitors. Literally, I will give all the wrong coupon codes and give the coupon codes to the wrong product. So they search my competitor, they do the add to cart, everything doesn't work, and then they go to my product and then use the correct coupon code and it works. So it can be used against your competitors as well. So bear in mind, just use it.
Thank you for broadcasting that live on here so that everyone gets shit on down the road. I'm joking. So yeah, if you kept nodding, you seem to like that. There's a lot of agreement there. Talk me through it.
Yeah, I love gamification. One thing that it does is it gives you more data to play around with, because you're tagging or you're filtering people along the way, so you know their interest, what steps they're taking or they're not taking. If they make it to a certain step and then they're not buying, you know that's a different person than someone that doesn't even take the first click or the first action. So this whole process, you're able to deliver a more targeted message the next time. And this, the game or the process, the sequence, the funnel, whatever you want to think about it, that there are multiple steps here. So again, this is not the simple strategy. It's the one where you want to try to branch out and try to serve something to the audience where their interests start diversifying. And it made me think about, there's all of these tools out there that Amazon sellers probably not using. This is more in the chatbot world, and I'm just talking about e-commerce or chatbot overall. So how many of you have Dashbot or Botalytics, something where you have data on the behavior of your users through the chatbots? And it's kind of like Google Analytics for messenger bots, right? You can have all of this data to know, what is the retention status? How do your cohorts look like? If you want to message your users later in a week or in a month or over time, if you're doing it right, what is that engagement and retention rate? So you just have all this simplified data through some of these tools. I'm just wondering, like, Amazon sellers probably don't even use those tools, but if you have that, it's going to give you even better insight on how to make this gamification more effective.
Makes sense. Brandon, do you want to share anything here?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Paul to clarify, like, what's your top of funnel when you're giving people the wrong code? Because I'd be concerned that they'd complain to Facebook and you'd lose your Messenger account. You'd lose your account.
Yeah, just about that. So it's a few things. Normally, it's a Wheel of Fortune type of flow. So we can be, so if it didn't work, we can fall back and say, sorry, man, there's a gremlin in the wheel. It happens. And I fall back on that. When I do run these flows, I'm fully aware of the risk. So I'll make sure my assistant is on board right there and then. So if a customer complains, they're much likely to send me a message before they lodge a complaint. And so far, I think I've had like one spam complaint in the past 2-3 years. So it's worked well for that matter.
Yeah, I'd still be concerned. I mean, especially with how I mean, they're really gun shy and I don't know, like, so you're burning that list anyway, right? So what's the reusability of that list once you've given them a wrong discount code? And then and how are you able to retarget?
Brandon's going in.
So pretty much, and it's a good question, pretty much is that when they come back to me, I then retag them again. So if they come back to me, I retag them saying, this guy just loves my product, and I go back to them again. But in the grand scheme of things, the guys that did not come back to the flow, I then do a broadcast to them saying, sorry, there was a problems in the system again. We fixed it now, and we run things accordingly. So pretty much, I try to keep all those things on autopilot. But again, it is in some way a leaky funnel, so we have to be aware of that.
Yeah, Michelle?
Yeah, that would be my only concern as well with, Brandon's concerns about burning your list, and I'm like, marketing to a certain degree is manipulation, but it's also about building a relationship, and creating a brand for yourself, and having a relationship with your audience. That being said, like, I haven't experimented to that depth of I guess, gamification. I think the closest that I've experimented with is like a secret sell where you're delivering coupon codes. You can still have that whole, like, spin the wheel, like, kind of thing and win a prize, and then use this code, go all the way to checkout, and have search, find, buy, and do all of those kind of things, get them all the way to checkout to reveal their discount, And that way you're still giving them a valid coupon and getting them all the way to add to cart, but you're not necessarily, and I'm lazy. Like, I don't want to be like messaging a bunch of people back and forth with, like, oh, here's a new code, or that sort of thing. Like, I want things to be automated as much as possible. And that my clients do too, they freak out if anybody messages them. It's like, oh, people don't, but the coupon code isn't working. I got to go figure that out, like,
yeah. Well,
so it's not to say that it doesn't work. I just like automation,
I don't know if Paul's does this, but in ManyChat, you can just put a keyword for wrong code didn't work. You just put a bunch of phrases
not
that they
working.
would put, and then just do an automatic response of sorry, and then trigger the right code. You could probably put them into a trigger a flow or a sequence or something.
Well, what we're doing, we've been kicking the shit out of Paul for far too long. Let's switch this over to Brandon now.
You started it. You
I know it's my
fault.
fault. I love Paul. Sorry, Paul. I'll take one for the team in a little while. But Brandon, let's talk rebates, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, rebates are really effective. Obviously, as one of the owners of Rebate Key, we saw the writing on the wall a couple of years ago. Amazon does not like large discount codes. It's bad for their bottom line, and every decision that Amazon makes is generally a bottom line decision. What's best for their business, what's going to make them the most money. And so when people were manipulating rank at 99% off coupons, they waited until the ROI on that was not good for them anymore, because they started having too many complaints of competitors that were getting overtaken by everyone that was using it. So if you generate a large or a full sale to your product, generally they don't care how it comes in or what you're doing on the rebate side, and like, they know about it. So the biggest thing that I tell all my students is that when you're ranking, don't create patterns. Make sure you're getting sales from many different places. So we might, even though we have a flow, we have a top of funnel, we have a list, we search, find, buy is really great. It's as organic as it can look. But we're also rotating a lot of different keywords so that there's no pattern with regards to the searches. So you can randomize different keywords you're doing, different instructions. We're also doing Rebate Key with a rotating Pixelfy URL. we're, you know, and at the same time, we're probably cranking PPC and generating sales any other way we can, especially early on, because there's no organic sales really coming in. So anything you do is just going to be completely known and obvious to Amazon.
Cool. So let's talk rebates in terms of service. Like, just for clarity, we've kind of covered this before. You're probably sick and talk about it. It's the same when I talked about Anthony Lee, that, you know, giveaways and etc. against terms of service, and you have to keep banging your head against the wall. So this is my take on it. I don't use rebates, use rebate key. You're a friend, you're a co-owner, etc. All good. My understanding, and this is speaking to Anthony, we've done a show on this before as well, there really isn't any verbiage in the terms of service in terms of rebates. It doesn't really exist, the verbiage there, for or against. It's like Amazon hasn't been caught up yet and fully created it to cover either way.
Amazon Legal has responded to us when we were creating rebate key. We checked and we did legal search. They responded to us that rebates were within TOS specifically.
Great. Excellent. So we'll print the letter in the show notes. Yeah. No, I'm joking. I know you can't show that. So this basically is about, but it just goes back to another thing. Like, so I'm glad we got clarity there, and that's what you said. It's within terms of service. Because with my sit down with Amazon, we're talking about suspensions, like in terms of giveaways and etc. And no one is ever on Amazon to this day has been ever suspended for any type of URL. I'll be clear, any type of URL, super URL, storefront, no one has ever been suspended. What's happened? Let me finish. I sat down with the head of programming who sits across the whole team, very powerful lady in there. And she told me no one's ever been suspended for a URL. What happens is a lot of people lie because it's over review acquisition 95% of the time. So when you hear this stuff on Facebook, they go, no, I got suspended for doing giveaways down to a URL. It is untrue. That isn't the fact finding part. 9 times out of 10 is down to review manipulation.
Exactly. So two things, like I think rebates and URLs are probably both within terms of service, but the intention is what matters, right?
Yes.
So if you're using rebates with the intention of rank manipulation, it's not the rebates that are the problem, it's the rank manipulation. If you're using URLs for rank manipulation, it's not the URLs, it's the rank manipulation that's the problem. URLs are just much more detectable. And you always have the issue where Amazon is at any given moment going to switch their URL structure, and you can run into an issue. That's why dynamic URLs, that I guess they call them super, but dynamic URLs like Pixelfy are great, because when you click on the link, it pulls the real link in real time and then feeds the user back through it. So that's why it's much more powerful. But at the end of the day, if you're going to use rebate key or use rebates, and you send somebody to go buy your product and come back, it's 100% okay. But if you're going to do that 1,000 times and that's your only sales with the sole intention of ranking, then you're crossing or in the gray area where you need to be careful. And then again, asking someone that you've given a rebate to for a review, now you're playing in the gray area. But you definitely, when you give them a coupon code, can't ask them for review because they know that they've been compensated. So it's that compensation for review thing that you run into with TOS
Let's cover that as an independent. I want to focus, sorry, because I went off track. I want to focus on rebates here and throw it around the room a little bit.
Yeah.
Stephen, you've got a take on rebates as well.
Well, as far as rebates go, I know a lot of people use them, and that's just fine. They're extremely effective, as has been said earlier. They're the closest thing you're going to get to an organic full price buy, and that's extremely important. I would prefer to see people using rebates over a deep discount giveaway. I think that it's also easier to plan for when you're getting into a product, as far as, okay, here's how many products I want to move, here's how I'm going to have to deal with the rebates. But you know that with the rebates, you're going to have a lot more sticking power with your ranking efforts versus a deep discount like we saw a year or even a year and a half ago. Me, myself, I don't personally use them, but I am very much an anomaly because I use other marketing efforts that I've been using successfully for years and years. But I came to Amazon with that skill. And for most people that are starting on Amazon, I wouldn't recommend it as the go-to if you're looking to rank and get moving in e-commerce.
Makes sense. Michelle, do you want to add anything here?
You know, rebates for me come down to relationships, and so once again, depending on what your objective is, if you're ranking, like it's got to be with like a hot list that's going to be responsive and get you that velocity that you can plan on. But like the biggest use that I've seen for rebates is just on the review side of things, you know, and making sure. And typically what I recommend is that if you're going to be using a rebate campaign for reviews, that you bury that inside of a velocity campaign so that you don't get, you know, flagged for abnormal review velocity or behavior. And typically if you're doing like a product launch or even a re-ranking campaign to you know, improve a listing overall, including reviews, that you start your ranking campaign about a week and a half before you start your rebate for reviews, or, you know, in or out of TOS. But just making sure that you have the velocity beforehand so that you don't, you know, suddenly have 50 sales and 50 reviews and then your ASIN's, you know, taken down.
Cool. Paul?
So my issue with rebates, right? Years ago when we were allowed to do incentivized reviews, I mean, you can give your product away. You
allowed? Was we ever allowed to do incentivized reviews?
Well,
really?
Think
you know, like
really?
Yeah.
I think Marusenko, when everyone did that, right? And back then I took the moral high ground saying this is against TOS, everyone's going to get banned, and no one was banned. Only then when Facebook actually went after it, and after it was being abused, Amazon changed the rules. So maybe, Brandon, this question for you is that can rebates be abused, and for Amazon to take to adhere to it? Because as soon as that does get abused, people will start bitching to Amazon. Sorry. Stop running to Amazon. I mean, and that's the case.
Anything can be abused. I mean, to the point where Amazon takes action, it's really going to come down to what kind of action that can they possibly take, and how would they be able to detect that it was a rebate?
Okay. But in terms of, is it really worth their time? I mean, I'm sure that they can find ways of doing it, but I guess what we're trying to ask is basically how long will this window last for? Because the incentivized reviews window was about 1.5 years. And is there a long-term strategy with rebates, or is it pretty much like maybe they'll change rules in maybe a month or two? And would you get a heads up?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they gave a heads up. At any given time, Amazon changes the rules. Usually they send out a letter saying, we know everyone's doing this, stop doing it or else. And then they drop the hammer after that point. Like they just give you a heads up. Now, if they have ways of detecting it, or they come after, like, you know, everyone that's listed on Rebate Key, for example, like that might be something that we would all get a heads up. We'd probably just shut the doors on Rebate Key, but they can't stop someone from running a Facebook ads, building up an audience, and then building up a fan base, retargeting their current buyers with an ad, with an insert card, or bringing them in from any other type of funnel, and then offering them a rebate privately. Like, it's a full sale for Amazon. And again, what's the bottom line? What's the bottom line on stopping it? It's going to prevent sales. It's going to cost them money to stop it. So at the end of the day, I don't really see them really coming down too hard on rebates. And the way I look at Amazon is that things are always going to be changing. This is a gold rush right now. It's by far the best investment there is to start an Amazon business, private label business, create your own brands, get it ranked. And keywords are like real estate. If you rank really wide, have a lot of keywords, you're protecting yourself, you're gathering that real estate, and there's limited real estate. But right now there's tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of potential good products out there. And so 2 years from now, it's going to get worse anyway. And if Amazon changes, we just have to adapt and continue going. I think that we're good for 5 to 10 years right now with regards to scaling and building businesses.
Makes sense. Right. So what I'm going to do, next step, because I want to start answering some of the questions as people have been graceful to sit on the call here from the audience. Let's go into reviews now. Who wants to take up the lead here? We're talking about being compliant when asking for reviews. Who wants to talk through the flow, the verbiage, and etc. And then we can throw that around the room